Okay, hi, good morning, everyone. Today again, Wednesday, for our Maritime English lesson with regards to Blackout Emergency Drill Part 2. So, we are now with our 53rd week, day 2 of our lesson. So, our topic is all about blackout, no, on board. And our lesson agenda for today are different procedures. Okay, in a while we'll discuss. Okay, so the agenda for today is the procedures of our blackout drill, and then how are we going to communicate for in case there's blackout on board, and then how are we going to restore the power so that operations will be back to normal, no? And then the post drill and post emergency actions. What are we going to do after the blackout? No, the post and the post drill and post emergency things to do. And how are we going to consolidate everything in a professional way? Okay, and then of course the last part is our question and answer. All right. Yes, blackout drill procedures. Okay. These are emergency drill scenario for the blackout. For our part 2, this introduces about blackout emergency lesson. So this one now focuses on the actual drill procedures, not just the theory, but the actual. How are we going to apply what we have learned theoretically? All right. So, you as our learners or of course the crew members will understand here how a blackout is planned, how it is executed or acted upon, and evaluated on board. So, continuation of our blackout emergency training is done on board. Okay, the emphasis on safety, how are we going to do the communication, internal and external, and of course the teamwork of the crew members on board. And also it prepares the crew for a real blackout situations. And also, it focuses on the practical drill procedures. So, if we have a uh, theoretical way of learning the emergency drill blackout scenario, here now for our part 2, we will now apply it. We will do the action. Okay? So this part is interesting, of course. So the purpose of blackout drills is simply to train the crew for a sudden loss of electrical power on board. Okay, you will be trained here, no? You will apply now what you have learned theoretically. Okay, and then the crew will be tested here. Okay, how they are going to respond, how they are going to coordinate with each other with regards to the blackout drill scenario. Okay, and also it ensures that familiarity with the emergency procedures are expected from the crew. Okay, that those are the purpose, no? And then also, of course, uh, if we are already familiarized with the blackout drills, it reduces panic and sometimes it improves our decision making on what to do during real blackout scenarios. And of course, we can identify to ourselves our weaknesses, no, during emergency response. So all I mentioned are purposes of blackout drills. All right. So for the preparation, the proper preparation during drill or in any drill on board is essential, of course, before conducting a blackout drill or not just blackout drill in any emergency drill on board. It is essential or it is important. Okay, so here the officers and the crew must ensure that the drill is well planned. Okay, and it is controlled, no? It is controlled to avoid a real a real hazards. No, we do this. Okay, we have to plan it. We have to control the drill. No, you have in order for everyone to be safe. Of course, to avoid real hazards. Okay, in the future. So, first thing to do in preparing the drill is that the key officers, okay, are informed about the scheduled drill. That's part of planning, all right? And then the officers will assign, no, assign roles to other crew members about their responsibilities, okay? And then also they have to check the emergency equipments like the lights, the radios, your alarms. No, you have to check that. That's a part also of planning and controlling the drill preparation. And also, it ensure that the navigation and then the machinery are in a safe condition so that the preparation contingency plans in case of real emergency will be applied properly. All right. So those how we are going to prepare the blackout drill. All right, because that is very important to all of the crew on board. And then since I mentioned that proper planning in making the or in doing the blackout drill, of course we have in planning you have the key officers will have a briefing, okay, before starting the drill. Okay, so a crew briefing is conducted so that everyone on board understands the objectives. Why we are doing the drill. Okay, those one of the objective. And then the procedures. Okay, everyone should understand the procedures. Okay, and then the safety precautions of the drill, of course, so that by doing crew briefing, it prevents confusion during the simulation process. Okay? So it is very important that we have the officers should explain the purpose or what is the reason why we do the blackout drill. That is the first thing to do. We have to explain the reason or the purpose of the blackout drill. All right? And then secondly, we have to review your individual duties or your roles, okay, in in your assigned stations. Okay? And then you have to have or we have to emphasize the safety precautions. Always safety precautions. And then we have to clarify communication signals and of course the commands from your senior officers or from the master. You have to clarify everything from your senior officers. And then we as senior officers will inform the crew that the blackout drill is simulated. Okay? Is only a practice. Of course, in order if there will be a real emergency blackout scenario, the crew will do the proper way on how to handle the situation. Okay? So for the simulated blackout conditions, okay, during the drill, blackout conditions are simulated, of course, to resemble a real power failure or the blackout situation. Alright? In order for the crew to allow the proper practice response without actual danger. Okay? So, what are the things the crew must do? Alright, number one, the electrical power is intentionally shut down or simulated. In order, of course, to be realistic. So, we have to shut down intentionally the electrical power. Okay? And then, once you will do that, emergency lighting activates, right? Automatically, right? So, once electrical power is intentionally shut down, the emergency lighting activates automatically, isn't it? All right. So, here, if that happens, remember this is only a drill, Hana? So the bridge and then the engine room respond as in there's a real blackout. Okay? And then also, now the crew members performs the assigned emergency actions. So that's the time, no, that the crew members will react to the assigned emergency actions. And then the officers will now monitor and then they will observe the crew how they perform the drill. Alright? So that's how you are going to do what this is how you're going to react on a drill scenario. Alright? So Of course, during the drill, as I mentioned earlier, safety measures is very important. That is our top priority during blackout drills. Okay? The safety measures here are taken to ensure that no crew member is injured. Okay? And no equipment is damaged during the exercise. Okay? So here, there should be no hazardous operations during the drill. Alright? Emergency stop systems remain accessible. And then a clear communication between departments should be imposed between the bridge and the engine room. Now here, drill may be stopped if unsafe conditions arise. Yes, you have to abort. You have to stop the drill. Okay? If you think it's unsafe. Alright? And then the supervisors closely monitor the crew actions. So that's the safety measures are done during the drill. So in communication during blackout, this is very important. Okay? We use standard marine conditions. Okay. So as I said, during a blackout, a clear and a standardized communication is critical. Alright? Now, we follow or we use proper marine communication. Of course, to reduce confusion. Of course, to prevent errors. And ensures that coordinated action among all departments like bridge and the engine room are uh, are well coordinated. Why is it important that we have to follow a standard marine communication? Number one, it prevents misunderstanding during emergencies. Yes, this is very important. Next, it ensures clear and accurate information exchange. That's why standard marine communication is important. Also, it supports coordination between the bridge, the engine room, and the deck. Okay? That is very important. And then it reduces panic and delays in response if you have a clear standard marine communication. And overall, it improves the ship's safety. Okay? So, in short, standard marine communication is very important. Okay? Remember that always, everyone. Now, we have the bridge and the engine room. Alright. Communication between the bridge and the engine room is vital during blackout. Okay? Accurate reporting helps assess the situation. And of course, prioritize power restoration. That is our aim in blackout emergency drill. All right, that is our aim to prioritize power restoration. That is why bridge and engine room communication is vital. So here, the bridge reports loss of power immediately. And then the engine room reports the cause and the status of blackout. And a continuous updates on power restoration is reported or coordinated with or between the bridge and the engine room. And also confirmation once essential systems are now operational. And lastly, we have to use a clear and concise language like the standard marine phrases. Okay? So, I don't know if you can still remember about SMCP, Standard Marine Communication Phrases. This is important, the use of this, because from the word itself, standard, standardized phrases, alright, make sure or ensures effective communication between, of course, sometimes there are uh, uh, one or two nationalities on board, no? So, it makes effective communication between a multinational crew members, all right? Especially during emergency situations like blackout. So, we have to use the standard marine communication phrases. Why we have to use that? Because it ensures clarity, no, regardless of your nationality. Okay? You have to follow that a standard marine communication phrases to reduce language barriers. That's one. So that you can understand with each other. You use simple, you use direct sentence structure. Avoid slang and informal language. Okay? And of course, you have to uh, use or you are required by our international maritime regulations to use the standard marine communication phrases so that you can understand with each other because sometimes there are different nationalities on board. So the IMO uses or or regulates is the use of SMCP. Okay, they implement that so that basic or basically multinational crew can understand with each other. Okay, so emergency announcements is also vital. Okay, so these announcements inform all personnel on board about the blackout incident and what are the required actions to do. So, announcing this, you have to be calm. It should be clear and it should be authoritative. All right, in announcing the uh, emergency scenario. Okay, you have to announce that there's blackout clearly to all crew. Okay, you provide safety instructions if necessary. Okay, and then you avoid causing panic to each every crew. And then when you use uh when you use the PA or the public address, it should be clear, it should be calm, okay, and it should be authoritative, no? So repeating critical information is allowed, okay, for clarity, for clarifications, okay. So that's how you are going to announce emergency scenario like blackout. Okay? So here, when there's already blackout, of course you have to report it right away to the master. Okay? You have to immediately inform the master during blackout. The accurate and then the time of reporting, okay, supports the proper decision making of the master. Of course, for the safety of the vessel and for each and every one. No? So, there should be an immediate notification of blackout. Okay? You report, okay, the cause and what are the affected systems. No? And then you provide actions taken. No? You have to provide that. What did you do? So you have to include that in your report. And then you update always the master, okay, on the power restoration progress if there is, no? And then you confirm when the situation is now under control. So you have to monitor everything. Report immediately. You report immediately to the master. You report what are the affected systems and what did you do right after you discovered that there is a blackout, and then you update the master for in case there's a power restoration progress, and also especially when the situation is already under control. Okay? So, external communication is required only, only when the blackout affects the vessel safety or the navigation system is affected. So, you do external communication. That is required. Okay? How are you going to do that? The external communication. Okay? Now, here, if needed, no? If needed, you inform nearby vessels if navigation is affected. And then you contact the BTS or port authorities, no? If required. And then you use distress or urgency signals only when necessary. But if not, do not use the distress signals. Okay? And also, you follow a proper radio communication procedures. Okay? And then you maintain the calmness, okay? And then the professional tone of the ones communicating externally. Okay? So that is only if required. So last Monday, I mentioned common causes of communication errors, or I think that was the common causes of blackout. But now we will discuss about the common communication errors. Okay. Here, the errors can worsen. the emergency situation. Okay? If there's errors. Okay? So, how are we going to recognize common mistakes? Okay? How are we going to prevent that? First is use of unclear or vague messages. So you avoid that. And then you're speaking too fast or too softly. Okay? It should be calm, it should be clear in speaking. Okay? Or avoid slang words. Okay? Now, another common communication error here is that failure to confirm received messages. Once you receive the message, you failed to confirm that you were able to receive the message. That is one common communication error. And also, you did not use the standard maritime phrases. Alright? You did not use that. Okay. So, how are we going now to restore the power? Or maybe, or shall I say, how or what did you do? What are the actions taken? Okay, to restore the power and to normalize the operations. All right, here, after the blackout, our first priority is identify the cause, right? Okay, so we have to understand why the blackout occurred, okay? In order to prevent recurrence of that, okay? And to make sure or it ensures a safe power restoration. So our priority here is to identify the cause. Okay? Now, how or what are the causes? Or how are we going to identify? So, identify whether blackout was a mechanical or electrical cause of the blackout. You check the main generator and switchboard status. That's how are you going to check or assess the cause. You review the engine room reports also. And then ensure fault is isolated before restarting. You have also to inspect the alarms and the monitoring systems. So that's how you are going to assess the cause of blackout. Now, how are you going to restart the main generator? Now, here, it must be the proper way or the proper procedures must be followed properly. Okay? To avoid further damage and ensure a safe power supply restoration. Okay. Confirming the generator is safe to start. You have to do that first. And then you follow the standard starting procedures. All right? And then you monitor also the voltage and the frequency. Do not forget that. And then you ensure the stable power output. Make sure, right? You have to check that. And then coordinate with the bridge during the restart procedure. Okay? You have to check that. It must be followed properly to avoid further damage and for the safety of everyone. Okay? Now, a proper load management, okay, it prevents overloading the generator. That is during power restoration. So here, the power must be restored gradually and it should be systematically. Okay? Now, you have to prioritize essential systems first. Do not overload. Avoid connecting all equipment at once. It should be one at a time. You monitor the generator load continuously. You have to do that. You monitor that. And you balance the electrical demand. Balance everything. Okay? That is the proper way of reloading. Okay? And then you prevent secondary blackout. That is why, okay, proper load management must be restored gradually, okay, and systematically, okay? Always remember that. Now, let's go to our step-by-step power restoration. Okay, power restoration is done in stages, okay, to make sure safety and the system stability. So each step from 1 to 5 must be confirmed before moving to the next step. So first is to restore emergency power systems first. Okay? And then that's the time you activate the essential machinery controls. Essential, the most important machine or machinery. Okay? And then you restore navigation and communication systems. You restore that because that is very important. Okay? And then gradually restore auxiliary services after the navigation and communication systems. And then lastly, you confirm normal, you confirm the normal electrical operation. Okay? Now, for how we are going to check the navigation system. Okay. This navigation system or equipment, this must be carefully checked after the blackout. Of course, to ensure a safe vessel operation. Okay. How are we going to check this? You verify the radar and then the ECDIS operation. You have to verify that. Secondly, you check your gyro compass, okay? And your magnetic compass. Next is your navigation lights. You check also that one. And your GPS. You check if it is functional, your GPS. Now, once there's any abnormalities from your radar, ECDIS, gyro compass, navigation lights, and then your GPS, you report that immediately. Okay? Report that immediately to the bridge. Okay. In resuming normal operations, okay, ship operations, this can only be done after all the systems are confirmed to be functioning correctly and safely. All right? You have to confirm the power stability. You ensure that all departments report readiness. And if their propulsion is functional now and maneuvering is uh, is activated, and then you continue to closely monitor the systems, and you have to maintain a heightened awareness. Okay, that's how you are going to uh, do before resuming the normal operations. Okay, for doing the confirmation reports, this one ensures that all systems are restored, okay, and the blackout situation is officially closed before you do the confirmation reports. How are you going to check that? The engine room have already reported that the power is restored, and the bridge will confirm that navigation systems are operational, and also the deck reports safety of cargo and the equipment are functional. And then the master receives a final status report. And that's the time you will record the incident in logbook that the systems are restored. And the blackout situation is officially closed. All right? So the post drill, okay? The post drill and the post emergency procedures, okay? The post drill and the post emergency procedures, emergency actions done is also vital. So securing emergency equipment, okay, after a blackout drill or the actual emergency drill, all emergency equipment used must be properly secured, and then you will return it to a normal condition to ensure readiness for a future use. Okay, so after using all the equipment, after the drill, you have to return that to its normal condition. Okay? So you have to return emergency equipment to designated locations. You switch off the temporary emergency systems if it's required. You recharge the batteries and your portable lights. Okay? And then you inspect always the equipment for any damage if there is. Okay? And then you can confirm the readiness for the next emergency situation. So that's how you are going to do that. And of course, The post-drill debriefing is also vital. Okay? This is where we review the performance, we discuss the observations, and here we reinforce correct actions to take during post-drill debriefing. Why we have to do that? Okay. It promotes teamwork and learning. It clarifies correct procedures if we do the debriefing. It encourages feedback from crew members, right? And then in the briefing, we can discuss the difficulties or the delays we encounter during the drill, right? So the briefing is very important so that we can review what went well or what went wrong during the drill. Okay? That's post drill debriefing. Okay. Not only debriefing, we have to log everything. We have to record everything. So all the blackout drills are actual emergencies, and actual emergencies must be recorded in ship's logbook. This is for compliance and our reference, no? In case of there is a port state control visits, no? They can see that you are conducting the drill. That's why it should be recorded. So you have to record the time and date of the drill or the emergency scenarios. You note the duration of blackout, how long is the blackout, and then you record the actions taken and outcomes. What did you do? What actions did you do? And then what happened after? You record also that one. And then you include the names of the responsible officers. Okay? And also ensure that the entries are accurate and complete. So that's how you are going to record in your logbook. Okay? Now, not just in the logbook. You have to report also to your company. You have to report also to the port authorities. So, in cases of serious blackouts, okay, or incidents, no, it may require a formal reporting, of course, okay, to your company or to the port authorities or maritime authorities. So, you have to follow the company reporting procedures. Okay? You report significant failures or delays. You have to notify the authorities if the safety was affected. Okay? You use a clear and factual language in reporting. And then you have to submit reports within required time frame. Okay? You report to the company, to port authorities or maritime authorities. Okay. In identifying weaknesses. All right. Of course, not all drills are perfect. Okay? Not all. There are, I know for sure there are lapses. Okay? So here, identifying weaknesses helps improve ano, future emergency response. Okay? And it prevents same incidents, similar incidents. Alright? Now, our weak points, okay? One is the delayed response. Okay? Delayed response times. Yes, this is one. There's a communication breakdown. Also, that's our weaknesses. There is an equipment malfunctions. Yes, sometimes during drills. That's why drill is very important. And then there's an unclear roles and responsibilities of each group. Okay? That's our weaknesses, our weak points, and then the training gaps. Okay? So all these five, okay, this helps identify weak points. And by identifying this one, it helps improve our future emergency response. Okay? And how are we going to correct that? Okay. First is we have to identify our weaknesses in order to improve a safety performance. How are we going to do that? Repair or replace a faulty equipment. You do that regularly. You update the procedures if it is necessary. And then you conduct additional training. Those are corrective actions. No? And then you clarify your responsibilities during emergencies. And then you monitor effectiveness of improvements. You have to monitor that if you are improving or not. Okay? So, importance of continuous training. Yes, this is very important. It doesn't mean that you had your training before joining the vessel or the ship. It ends there. No. It should have a continuous or you should have a continuous training. Reinforces correct emergency procedures is very important training because it improves confidence during real emergencies. It enhances your communication and coordination. And of course, it keeps the crew updated on safety practices. That's why it's called continuous training. Okay, and then it supports the safety culture on board. That's why continuous training is very important. Okay, consolidation and professional practice. How are we going to consolidate everything? Okay, by doing by doing in a professional way. All right. So let's start from the occurrence of the blackout to recovery. Okay. This full sequence of a blackout emergency is from the moment the power is lost, okay, until a full recovery and then a reporting are completed. Okay, that is the phase from occurrence to recovery. All right, so blackout occurrence and immediate response. Okay, that's the start. Emergency communication is initiated, and then the safety and control measures are applied. That's the things you have to do. Okay? And what did you do after you discovered? Okay. power restoration procedures is followed. And the confirmation and then reporting and debriefing is done. Okay. So here, these are the sequence of actions. Okay? To correct the order during a blackout emergency, you recognize and confirm the blackout. You have to inform the bridge, the engine room, and the master. You activate now the emergency systems and then assess the cause, and then if you were able to restore the power, and then verify the systems, and then that's the time you resume the operations. So following this correct sequence of actions ensures the safety, the efficiency, and then the control during a blackout situation. Okay? So the standard reporting ensures that information is complete, it is clear, and it is useful for decision making, like what happened during blackout, no? And then when it occurred, the time and duration, where it occurred, what are the affected systems, no? Or areas. And also, what is the status, okay, of the current condition? So, these are the standard reporting structure. The what, when, where, and status. Okay, that is the standard way of reporting. And so, there are common mistakes to avoid delays in reporting. Okay, the unclear commands. Okay, so identifying communication and procedural errors, it helps prevent escalation during emergencies. Okay? Like delaying critical reports. Or first, here, assuming information was understood. That is a very common mistake. Assuming information was understood. And then, you did not use a non-standardized language. And also, you failed to confirm instructions. And then you give a vague or confusing commands. So what will happen? There will be a delayed critical report. Okay? So this one, if this is done, okay, there will be a misunderstanding from the bridge to the engine room or from the engine room to the bridge. Okay? So you have to be very careful in reporting because your responsibility and your accountability on board is important. So every crew member has a role. Okay? You have your own responsibility during blackout situations. Okay? And you are guided by your positions and so with your duties. Okay? So officers, okay, lead, okay, and then the crew will follow, and then everyone's accurate reporting is that should be done, and then accountability supports your safety culture, and then actions must comply with the procedures. That's why in your responsibilities and your accountability on board is very important. Okay? And now, so the readiness, okay, and a continuous improvement ensures the ship and the crew, okay, that will remain prepared for future emergencies. So there it should have or you should have irregular drills and then your trainings and then you review your past incidents, okay, and then you have to update the procedures and your checklists, okay, and then you have to learn from your mistakes. So by that you are strengthening the teamwork and how you communicate with each other. Okay, that is a continuous improvement. Oh, now we are in our question and answer. So here, for number one, what is the main purpose of conducting a blackout drill on board? Of course, to train the crew response during power failure. That is the very purpose, the main purpose of conducting a blackout drill on board. Okay, that is the main purpose to train the crew response during power failure. So what should be done first before conducting a blackout drill? Okay, you have to prepare the drill and then assign the responsibilities to each crew member. Okay? That is the first to do thing to do. Prepare the drill and assign the responsibilities of the crew. So why is a crew briefing important before a blackout drill? Why is it important? Yes, to avoid confusion and then ensure the safety of the crew. So during a simulated blackout, what is expected from the crew? Yes, you have to perform assigned emergency duties. That is what we are expecting from you or from the crew. Okay? We expect that you can perform the assigned emergency duties. Okay. So what is the primary safety focus no during a blackout drill? What is the primary safety? Of course, safety. So we have to avoid injuries. We have to avoid equipment damage. So that is our primary focus during a blackout drill. Okay? We have to avoid we have to avoid injuries and equipment damage. Alright. During a blackout, which communication is most critical? Yes, it's from the bridge to engine room. So that is during a blackout. Okay? That is the most critical communication. Bridge to engine room. And also after a blackout drill, what must be done during documentation? You have to record the drill in the logbook. Okay? You have to record that. So that's how or that must be done during documentation after a blackout drill. You record the drill in your logbook. And which of the following is a common mistake during blackout emergencies? Delayed or unclear reports. The very common mistake during blackout emergencies. There's a delay. There's an unclear reports. Okay? So, you have to avoid that. Yes, we're done. And so, we have to pause from here. All right? So I hope everyone had a great time listening to our topic about blackout. And so I will see you all again after a week for our 55th week. All right? So goodbye, everyone. Have a good day. Have a nice day. And I'll see you all again. All right? Bye. Good morning.